We've heard stories that are so messed up, so unbelievable that once they become part of our common knowledge, we never question them again. We accept them as the truth. But what if those truths were lies? That's what we'll be looking at today. Welcome to this channel. In Rwanda, it's believed that history is written by the victors. Victors who have benefited immensely by rewriting the past to their favor. To understand why, we must go back to 1994. In a span of 100 days, more than 1 million people were brutally murdered in Rwanda. And, since then, the world has accepted that it was Hutu extremists who targeted Tutsis and moderate Hutus. Today, we present to you evidence that completely changes that narrative. The president of Rwanda during the genocide was Theodore Sindikubo. He was a Tutsi. The leader of the Interahamwe militia, Robert Kajuga, also a Tutsi. The founder of Hutu Power, a political party that advocated for the supremacy of the Hutu ethnic group and the expulsion or killing of Tutsis, Edouard Karemera, also a Tutsi. The first man to be convicted of genocide, Jean-Paul Akayesu, a Tutsi. Vital Mukanda, who killed hundreds of fellow Tutsis, including his own mother, a Tutsi. Leon Mugesera, who infamously said that Tutsis should be sent back to Ethiopia via River Nyabarongo, also a Tutsi. Miko Myiza Jean-Paul, who was deported from Sweden on genocide charges, also a Tutsi. And recently, Fulgence Kayishema, who was arrested in South Africa, also a Tutsi. But how can this be possible? If the perpetrators of the genocide were Tutsis, then who was it that called Felicien Kabuga the mastermind of the genocide? The same Tutsi regime led by Paul Kagame, who has been in power ever since. Kabuga may have been a Hutu, but he was married to a Tutsi woman. Kabuga and his wife had a lavish wedding in 1991. It was attended by the elite of both communities. This included the current president of Rwanda, Juvenal Habyarimana. Kabuga and his wife never accused each other during the genocide. Instead, they fled together and stayed together until her death. By now, you might be asking, who really orchestrated the genocide? Well, that's impossible to say. But what we can say is that over 1 million people died in Rwanda, 700,000 of them Hutu, and only about 350,000 Tutsi. Most of the Hutu were killed not by the Interahamwe, but by Kagame's RPF. And while we're at it, let's clear up another thing. When we talk about the Interahamwe, we often think of them as Hutu extremists. But the word Interahamwe doesn't mean Hutu. It simply means those who work together. During the 1990 Civil War, the media, however, chose to erase that nuance and associated the term exclusively with the Hutu extremists. Convenient for them. Convenient. Today, millions of Hutu live in fear of being labeled an extremist, or worse, a member of the Interahamwe. But there were no Hutu power militias. There were no hate media. The only radio station that encouraged people to stop the genocide was run by the RPF. The stations that spread propaganda were all owned and operated by the RPF. After the genocide, the RPF continued the killing of Hutu and Congolese civilians. These massacres were well documented by Human Rights Watch and other international organizations. But the world chose to ignore them. And so we come to the conclusion that yes, the Rwandan genocide was real, but the story we've been told is a lie. The truth didn't die. It was buried. We hope to unearth more of it and bring it to your screens. Now, before you get comfortable, it's important to tell you that the rest of this video will be uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. It will challenge everything you thought you knew about the Rwandan genocide, and it will make you question everything you know about current-day Rwanda. Are you brave enough to hear the truth? If you are, subscribe so that we can continue to make you uncomfortable.